Shadowing good news for home buyers. National house prices fall for the first time in 2 years. Slow version. Australia's housing market is in a downturn for the first time in almost 2 years. After the average national price of a property sold dipped slightly in December, while Sydney remains the most expensive place to buy. Prices in Melbourne fell heavily in 2024. This is according to Home Price Index released today by PropTrack and the REA Group. And Flaherty is a senior economist with the REA Group and join us now from Melbourne. And good morning. Thanks for joining us. Tell me, what is this all mean? Well, I think that we finally have a bit of good news for home buyers. We saw property prices fall for the first time in 2 years. We have been seeing the speed at which property prices have been rising slow for quite some time, but this is certainly the first time we've seen them go backward. And does this report give us a sense of why? Look, I think there's essentially few reasons why, and I think interest rates are a big part of this. Interest rates have been sitting very high for quite a long time, and while we did see some relief in the middle of the year when we have those tax cuts, I think that a lot of people are just doing it really tough. The cost of living is rising. The speed at which wages are rising and slowing. So I think all of these factors are limiting how much people can borrow, and that's flowing into property prices. And given that interest rates is the one major lever of the Reserve Bank, how do you think they will be looking at this data? Look, I think they will be very interested to see this data. If we think where we were 12 months ago, the expectation were very strongly that we would see a rate cut before the end of 2024. That didn't happen. It's not looking like this year is going to be the one. So until we see interest rates come down, I think that's going to continue to put the negative pressure, and there's a lot of people who do own home already, who do have mortgages. A lot of them are under stress at the moment with how high their repayments currently are. Yeah, and given that, has this report given any sense of what we can expect in terms of property pricing and the end brought out for the market? Well, we know home prices do move with a certain momentum. We have seen those price growth slow over the past 6 months, and I think heading into this year is gonna be a story of main market. We know that places like Melbourne and Canberra have been seeing really very negative price growth. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got markets like Perth and Brisbane where things are still relatively strong. We are seeing prices stabilize, but they are not really dropping to the extent we're seeing in some of the other capital. And in fact, there was some reporting that there is increases. Some of the market are growing. What do you put that down to? Well, that really is Perth. Perth is certainly the outline. It has been for a long time. In the case of Perth, we are actually seeing very strong levels of investor demands in the market, and that's driving up competition, and it's pushing up prices. And actually, there's a very strong possibility that within 6 months time the median price of home in Perth is going to be higher even the median price of home in Melbourne. And is anything else that stood out in this reporting to you that would give us a sense of direction of the market or what we can expect this year? Look, I do think that the price growth we'll see this year will be lower than what we saw last year. Even if interest rates are cut this year, potentially within the next few months, by the middle of the year, that would have that would potentially push property prices upward. But having said that, because overall economic conditions are a bit softer, it's not really likely we are going to see that very strong performance in property prices that we were seeing a year ago, and certainly during the pandemic. One more. Australia's housing market is in the downturn for the first time in almost 2 years, after the average national price of the property sold dipped slightly in December. While Sydney remains the most expensive place to buy, prices in Melbourne fell heavily in 2024. This is according to Home Price Index released today by PropTrack and the RA Group. And later the senior economist with the RA Group and join us now from Melbourne. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Tell me, what does this all mean? Well, I think we finally have a bit of good news for home buyers. We saw property prices fall for the first time in 2 years. We have been seeing the speed at which prices have been rising slow for quite some time, but this is the first time we see them go backward. And does this report give us any sense of why? Look, I think there are certainly a few reasons why I think interest rates are a big part of this. Interest rates have been sitting very higher for quite a long time, and while we will see some relief in the middle of the year when we have those tax cuts, I think that a lot of people are just doing it really tough. The cost of living is rising, the speed at which wages are rising is slowing. So I think all of these factors are limiting how much people can borrow, and that's blowing into property prices. And given that an interest rate is the one major level of the Reserve Bank, how do you think they will be looking at this data? Look, I think that we're very interested to see this data. If we think where we were 12 months ago, the expectation were very strongly that we would see rate cut before the end of 2024. That didn't happen. It's not looking like this is going to be the one. So until we see interest rates come down, I think that is going to continue with the negative pressure. And indeed, a lot of people who do own home already, who do have mortgages, a lot of them under stress at the moment with how high their repayments country are. Yeah, and given that, has this report given any sense of what we are expect in terms of property pricing and the broader outlook for the market? Well, we know home prices to move these certain moments, and we have seen those prices grow slow over the past 6 months. Now, I think heading into this year, it's gonna be a story of many markets. We know that places like Melbourne and Canberra have been seeing really very negative price growth. But then on the other end of spectrum, you've got markets like Perth and Brisbane where things is relatively strong. We are seeing prices stabilize, but they're not really dropping to the extent they were seeing in terms of capital. And, and in fact, there are some reporting that there's increases some of the market are growing. What do you put them down to, Will? Well, really is Perth. Perth is essentially the outlier it has been for a long time. In the case of Perth, we are actually seeing very strong level of investor demands in the market, and that's driving up competition and it's pushing up prices. And actually, this is very strong possibility that within 6 month time, the median price of home in Perth is going to be higher than ever median price of home in Melbourne. Yeah, and is anything else that you love this reporting to you that would us the sense of the direction of the market or what we can expect this year? Look, I do think that the price growth we're facing this year will be lower than what we saw last year. Even if interest rates are cut this year, potentially within the next few months by the middle of the year, that would have that would potentially push property prices upward. But having said that, because of our economic conditions are a bit softer, it's not really likely that we are going to see that very strong performance in property prices that we were seeing a year ago and certainly during the pandemic.